my name is Sean Shaler, and this is my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek. And Chris, you have something a little different for us this week. What's going on?
Yes, we will be definitively ranking the avatars from worst to best.
Definitively. Awesome.
Definitively, this is the end-all be-all list. Don't care what anyone says. This is it.
Science.
And yeah, and we're not ranking them based off who's your favorite or based off of who's the most annoying, whatever. Just which avatar did their job best? Who showed up to work?
Can we even say not the strongest or the smartest or anything, but we're grading a job here. Like we're doing a performance review right now.
Exactly. Like who was the best at keeping peace, and not necessarily only during their lifetimes, but maintaining peace, and what was their lasting effects on the world. So no bias, no BS, nothing. This is the definitive ranking of avatars.
And if you don't agree, well then please don't stop watching, because you might be the last person still watching this thing. I will say that, and I hope you agree, but I think I like the way that you took this direction of saying like best avatar, because it's something a little more tangible. Like when we get into, like, we like to get into these sort of like head-to-head conversations, or they're popular, like who would win, this person or whatever. We just, it is an apples and oranges thing. We can't ever compare, but we can kind of compare, like we have enough lore and history on most of them to say, hey, this is what they did as the avatar. This is how they did their job, good or bad. It's as close to like a tangible comparison, I think, as you could really come up with.
Yeah. And before we get into that, we're going to go through, hopefully really quickly, just their history, and then we're going to show. So I went through and I ranked them from 7 to 1st, 7 to 1, and then Sean ranked them from 7 to 1, and we're going to give you our average rankings of them, which is, again, is the definitive ranking of the avatars. And the 7 avatars we're ranking are the only 7 that we have actual information about, which is Wan, the first avatar, Yangchen, the airbender before Aang, Kuruk, Kyoshi, we all know Kyoshi, Roku, Aang, and Korra.
I like how you introduced Kyoshi like she was here. Like, everybody, you know Kyoshi, right? You recall?
Everybody knows Kyoshi.
Everybody knows Kyoshi. I will say that we excluded the nameless firebender avatar that came after one, or wait, was it before Yangchen?
Before Yangchen.
We excluded the name. He had very little to work off of other than a couple of dream appearances. He's in this picture down here. He's like right over Kyoshi's.
He has a big hat.
Left shoulder, I believe, is the nameless firebender avatar. So sorry, dude. Honorable mention.
He is the first one. He is the first one to on screen to show that he can lava bend. But it's not because he's a firebender. It's because he's an earthbender.
It's because he's the avatar. No, but that's like, it's sort of the running joke online, is there's this other avatar that nobody ever gives credit to. Yeah, well, he doesn't pack much of a story, but he lava bends, so that's pretty cool. When you are giving the histories, I always say I'm going to try to do it, but I'm really going to try to do it. I'm mostly just going to try to shut up and let you talk. Try my best. Good. Try my best, at least. All right, you ready?
Yes.
All right, first avatar.
First off, we have Avatar Wan, the numero uno. He was born in 9,850 BG, which you don't know what that BG stands for. Sean, do you know what it stands for?
I have no idea. Nothing.
It stands for before genocide, before the Airbender genocide.
Interesting. Wouldn't you think they would have done it like before harmonic convergence or something like that?
I mean, nothing really happens before harmonic convergence.
Well, but harmonic convergence is such a universal event. Whatever. I'm already ruining my shut up thing. All right, you go ahead. I'm done talking.
No, that's my fault. I asked you a question. I wouldn't make that mistake again.
It was a trap. It was a trap. I fell right into it.
All right. His element of origin is fire, and this is on screen. But he started off on the lion turtle, who could give people the ability to firebend in order to protect themselves and the spirit wilds from the spirits. Well, he was also poor, and he wanted to uprise against the power that be, so he kind of stole the firebending from the Lion Turtle and started a revolution that didn't last long. He got kicked out, and they sent him off in the spirit wilds. And while there, he made friends with spirits and everything. And eventually, he runs up into two spirits fighting, and he has no idea why they're fighting. In his defense, and he wants to break it up. In his defense, they are
Don't
in
jump
their
to his defense
tussle.
before we start ranking. Cut
Sorry.
that out.
Okay. This is me being objective. In their tussle, they are kind of destroying things and causing havoc. And it's this white spirit and this black-looking reddish spirit fighting. Juan wants them to break it up, so he fire bends and separates them. Little does he know that was a stupid move because the light spirit Rava has been trying to keep hold of the dark spirit Vatu. So he freed Vatu from Rava stupidly, and then he eventually goes through. He learns all four elements by traveling to the different lion turtles, and eventually he merged during harmonic convergence. He merged with Rava to become the first avatar, as you see in the nice GIF there. He did successfully defeat Fatu during harmonic convergence, but he ended his life dying on the battlefield. Not sure if he's kind of saying his life was a little bit of a waste. He's kind of down on himself, but that's essentially. And then Rava leaves him, and she goes on to the next one. Yeah, that's his history.
Definitely worth mentioning that, like, at harmonic convergence, when they merge, it is sort of with the intention of we've got to keep Vatu at bay as well as we can forever. Like, that's our goal throughout all of time.
Yes, those two, whichever one wins out of those two, if Vatu wins, it's darkness for 10,000 years. If Rava wins, it's relatively peace for 10,000 years. But it's definitely darkness if Vatu wins.
All right, next avatar. Nice gifts,
Next
by the
avatar,
way.
we're going to jump.
I didn't even know that those were animated, by the way. Nicely done.
Oh, you did? Nice.
No, they didn't animate when I was putting them, when I was just like looking at them in the PowerPoint, but they look cool. I like them.
Next, we're going to jump about 9,000 something years into the future.
A few.
Into Avatar Yangchen. Don't know when she was born, but she dies 345 BG. Her nationality is the Air Nomads. Some of her accomplishments is she made peace with General Old Iron, who is a spirit. I forget exactly why he was upset about something. I think some people killed his wife, and she made peace with him by establishing a holiday that would, and establishing that they would respect this field that he was around. And also, even though she was an airbender, she didn't mind doing whatever was necessary, and she established great peace in her time as the Avatar.
All right, next avatar.
That is everybody's favorite Avatar. Sorry, I'm trying to be objective. I don't know why I said that.
Whose favorite?
Avatar.
Whose?
Is Avatar Kuruk.
You've been watching the wrong show.
Who was born 345 BG. He died in 312 BG, which, if you're counting, means he was only like 33 when he died. His nationality was the Water Tribe, and these are his words. He was a go-with-the-flow avatar who arrogantly challenged people to bidding contests all the time. And he says he was a go-with-the-flow avatar because things were so peaceful, pretty much from the previous avatar, that people pretty much handled their own conflicts, and he didn't really get that involved. But he let this carefree lifestyle go when he met the love of his life, but his lack of diligence made it possible for Ko, the face stealer, to steal his would-be wife's face. And then he would, every year, he stole his wife's face at their wedding. And every year on their anniversary, he would go to the spirit world searching for Ko to get his wife back. But then knowing he couldn't kill Ko because then he would kind of end up killing his wife. And I'm guessing that's how he died. Just, I don't know, messing around in the spirit world or getting killed. He probably died like at stealing, jumping off a cliff or something. Anyway, that's not true, but...
No, I like it. Let's headcanon that. That's good stuff. I will
tripped off a cliff.
Yeah, he has some interesting lore in the way that he kind of lives on in the series because you see his wife's face and like, I don't know, he has sort of more of an interesting lasting presence throughout the show, despite being such a short-lived, like you said, what is he, 33? So what did he get married?
Yeah, it's more of a
25, 26. He's married a couple years,
yeah.
and then who knows? No. They weren't married a couple years. Was it at the wedding when she fell into the?
At the wedding.
Okay, so he was
yes,
married.
They got
0
married.
Years.
They got married at the Spirit Oasis in the Northern Water Tribe.
Do you
He's
still
from the
get
north.
to open the presents if you make it to the wedding? And it's not your fault. It ended. Do you still get to open the presents? One of life's great mysteries, if you ask me.
I'm about to rewatch Kill Bill about that or something. Like that also happens.
Of all the shows I thought would never make an appearance on this show, Kill Bill would have been up there a long ways. Next Avatar.
Next up is Avatar Kyoshi. Fan favorite, I think. She was born 312 BG, died 82 BG. Her nationality is the Earth Kingdom. During some time in her reign as the Avatar, she stopped a peasant uprising in Ba Sing Se, because the peasants were mad at the Earth King, and the Earth King called her in to stop them by any means necessary, essentially. But she said she wouldn't, and he said, "How dare you? I'm the Earth King. You need to respect your Earth King as an Earth Nation citizen." And she said, "How dare you? I'm the Avatar. You need to respect me." So she did, without violence, came to conclusion, and she protected the Earth Kingdom by creating an elite fighting force to help protect the cultural heritage of the Earth Kingdom. And that elite fighting force came to be called the Dai Li, who we will find out later became very corrupt.
Probably not for their own fault, but it happened.
Yeah. Also in her time, she stopped Qin the Conqueror by killing him while simultaneously creating Kyoshi Island. Qin the Conqueror was conquering all of Earth Kingdom, and when he came across her village, she just decided to separate off the peninsula, and in one of the most BA moments in all of Avatar, just straight up created her own island. Who does that? And then she also trained an elite group of women to protect themselves mostly from terrible jerk men called the Kyoshi Warriors.
What can we say? We know better than anybody. Men are evil. That's the truth.
All right, next Avatar we have is Roku, probably the third one we have the most information on, the most familiarity with. Roku was born in 82 BG. He died 12 BG. His nationality was a Fire Nation. His best friend was Hitler. I'm kidding. His best friend.
What's the different incarnation of Hitler?
His best friend was Fire Lord Sozin, who the comet is named after, and his best friend decided, hey, Fire Nation is doing great, man. Let's expand this. And even in that first conversation, Roku didn't necessarily stop him. Come to find out, years later, the Fire Lord Ozai has started his expansion into the Earth Kingdom. Then Avatar Roku momentarily stopped the Fire Nation's war, but his mercy led to the Fire Nation committing mass genocide on the air nomads and also starting the 100-Year War. He died fighting a volcano, and his supposed best BFF let him die.
And then that brings us to a familiar face.
And we have pretty much everyone's favorite Avatar.
Look at
Aang.
that face. How can you not love that face?
I know. Look at that. I purposely got that.
Those big old
He was
eyeballs.
born 12 BG. He died 153 BG. He was 166 years old, although biologically he was only 66. Yeah. His nationality. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention with Kyoshi. She was 230.
Oh,
really
yeah, that's
old,
cool. Yeah, well,
lady.
I'm sure that'll come up.
Yeah, sorry. His nationality was air nomads. When he found out he was the Avatar, he ran away from his responsibility, and he ended up getting caught in a storm and frozen in a ball of ice. He would wake up 100 years later. After he woke up, in that time, he would successfully defend the Northern Water Tribe from General Zhao. He defeated Fire Lord Sozin and finally ended the 100-Year War. by being the first Avatar to learn energy bending. With Zuko, he founded Republic City, a city with many different type of benders. It's a very diverse city with water benders, with water tribe members, Earth Kingdom members, and Fire Nation members. And in his time as Avatar, he also ended the mobster slash gangster Yakone's hold on Republic City by taking his bending away.
Basically, he started a city that instantly had organized crime.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
right away.
It did not take long.
Man, you know, I think it's probably easier to start organized crime in a city that is still kind of unorganized.
Not organized.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
that's it. Never
organized
mind.
crime.
I won't get off on a tangent. But there's a quote in the show Gotham, is like where the mobster Falcone is saying, the thing about organized crime is that we keep things organized. Like, there's no chaos here. Like, everyone knows what's going to happen. If you follow these orders, you're fine. We're not killing kids and stuff here. It's just us. But,
From what is it? From chaos comes order, or something like that. Yeah. Interesting. And one more Avatar.
all right. Our last Avatar is Avatar Korra. She was born 153 AG. Her nationality is the Water Tribe. She defeated the Equalist movement and the leader, Amon. She defeated Unavatu, which is a cross between Unalaq and Vatu, which you've heard of. He is the spirit of darkness and spirit of chaos and darkness. She defeated him during harmonic convergence. She opened up the spirit portals, which inadvertently led to new airbenders. She protected those said airbenders and beat Zahir. She also defeated Kuvira and opened up a third spirit portal.
All right. I think
All right, before
that is the list of the avatars. We cannot click any further until you are ready.
Yeah, I'll tell you when I'm ready. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna do like these random introductions to these because this number 7, I'm gonna describe as this. This is the avatar that really, I think, started the whole entire story, and that can sort of be said for 2 different avatars. So, let's see what number 7 is.
The undisputed scientific worst avatar
Yes,
by
worst
job
avatar.
by role is Roku.
It's Avatar Roku.
Sorry,
Yes.
buddy.
Yeah, I had Avatar Roku as my number 7 because he he tried, but he really did nothing. Like, and even he would say like, "Dang, this 100-year war is my fault." I remember when he first said that, I was like, "Dang, why is this your fault?" And I started thinking about like, yeah, it is all your fault. All your fault. You could have easily stopped the Fire Nation, like you did, and you just decided to have mercy on them. Because I don't know, maybe you're a little biased because you're a Fire Nation too. I'm kidding. But everything is his fault, and he didn't really do anything good either. And by the way, we're just going off of everything we know. Avatar Roku pretty much did nothing good, and then he pretty much did nothing, which led to a lot of bad happening. Like, it led to 100 years of war, of people dying, a whole freaking civilization completely wiped off the map.
So would you... I wish I'd have thought of this beforehand. Would you like me to tell you then who my number 7 was, or to tell you where I ranked?
No. Tell me where you have
Roku instead. I think that's more interesting. It holds some more suspense, I think.
Yeah.
So I put Roku I put him at number 5, and that is because while his sins were egregious, and yes, I am judging. You're darn right, I'm judging. That's why I'm here. His sins were egregious, and I agree with everything you said. I think the only issue I take with that is that he was dead when the genocide happened, and it was consequences of his own actions, and that's important. But he was dead when the genocide happened, and I don't believe that the consequences of his actions or lack thereof are as dire as some other avatars. And then also, based on what information we do have, he does prove to be a very useful guide to Aang specifically.
Ooh,
And I don't know.
that's interesting.
I don't know how much weight you can put into that because everyone probably got help from the prior. I mean, you're connected to your past
Yeah.
lives, but he is clearly
You can get help
remorseful.
from anybody.
He clearly learned from his mistakes, and he's trying to make up for it. So I don't know how much weight you can put on that. Not a ton. I mean, I only ranked him 5, but I do have 2 lower than him. So yeah, that's my spot.
Yeah.
We were pretty close there. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. So to go, and we also send out a slight little poll question
good
out
call,
to the fan clubs, and they had Avatar. So I grabbed all the data from them and got what their average ranking was. They had Avatar Roku ranked at number 6, so right in between me and you.
Perfect. They are slightly more forgiving than you, but not as weak as I am. Any particular comments that stood out?
Let's see here. One is from Buro. He said, on Roku, he said, although we saw a lot about him, we didn't see anything about restoring balance. He was majorly about stopping Sozin. I think maybe he was mostly about stopping Sozin, and he failed at that. So that's how that ends.
That's a good point. I will, like I said, say there again, the crimes are terrible, but just let's as we go forward, I'll reference it several times, and that's sort of the grander scheme of stakes that were prevented or not prevented or what have you. That's going to be an important theme for me.
All right, so our number 6 avatar is, I think it's everyone's favorite avatar. So I'm sorry he got ranked pretty low. But it is none other than Avatar Kuruk.
Everyone's favorite. Whatever.
Yeah, everyone's favorite avatar.
I don't even. No. You go first. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I had Avatar Korra ranked at number 6 because he legit did nothing. Like he just didn't show up.
His resume.
Like his only saving grace. Yeah, his only saving grace is that he did so absolutely nothing that there was peace during his time, and the only person that really suffered in his time was him, because his would-be wife was taken. But just the lack of caring, and him always wanting to challenge people, how arrogant he is. I had to put him. He had really no lasting impact except for being a cautionary tale. I had to put him at number 6.
I put him at number 6. I was very close to putting him at number 7. First of all, for such a short run, like none of the you don't just get to do like a quarter of the work that anybody else does and then pretend it's all good. Much less when you weren't doing anything at that time. And I have 2 big issues with Kuruk on top of what you said, or Kuruk. I always pronounce his name wrong. Is first, he described himself as a go-with-the-flow avatar, which sounds like something that someone neglecting their responsibilities would say when they actually just don't want to do what they're supposed to. And 2, his time may have been like all happy and flowery or whatever per him, but like Kyoshi had serious problems when it came to her later, and they didn't just spawn up because Kyoshi was bad. Like these are things that were brooding and growing or whatever. So I had a hard time not putting him at number 7. I didn't. I put him at number 6, and he's a jerk. And even in that short, he is easily the least useful avatar. He gives Aang nothing. He's just like, all right, go find Kyoshi, and that's like his contribution. He talks about his wife, and then that's it.
His lasting words are like the most indecisive of them all, which is funny because he says, like, no, he's not the one that says be decisive. He says, you must actively shape the world. Yeah. He says, paraphrasing, he pretty much says, your actions must actively shape the world. Like, you didn't tell him to do anything.
You were just zero help even in the afterlife.
Yeah, even in the afterlife, you're a failure. Avatar Kuruk.
I should have put him at number 7, I think. Whatever, that's dumb. Anyways, fan comments?
So the fans, rightfully so, ranked Avatar Kuruk at number 7.
Good.
He, good. The one of the only comments I think, I mean, not that any people comment on them, is let's see here. Pretty much, I'm gonna grab from Boro again. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. If
Thanks,
he's even
Boro.
hearing,
We appreciate your contribution.
and he pretty much says what we said. Admitted in the series that he was a carefree avatar, but not much troubles to solve. Yeah.
He didn't have the foresight to see what troubles his neglect would cause. That's what really happened. All right, final thoughts on Kuruk.
He doesn't deserve any final thoughts.
He probably didn't deserve the wife that he proposed to the day that he met her. That is not how life works, kids. That's not how love works. Don't listen to anything Korra tells you. It's a bad influence. All right, I'm done with my old man rant.
All right, our next avatar is oh, dang it, I kind of forgot who it was, but I think I'm pretty sure who this is. This is the first avatar.
Yeah, it's a dead giveaway.
And dead giveaway. This is the first one. So yeah, coming in number 5 is Avatar Wan. Actually, you start off with this because you had him number 7, correct?
I had him number 7. Now he is a likable guy, and I feel for his situation. And on one hand, it's like, all right, well, without him, we wouldn't have had avatars or TV shows or whatever. His actions
or TV shows,
right? We wouldn't have had no TV show if there was no avatar. So whatever. Thanks, Juan. First of all, I would have to say that this whole time I assumed his name was spelled Juan, like Juan, like representing like Western Europe, not Eastern Asia. And so this whole time I was giving Avatar like thousands of miles more credit for their diversity when he's probably Eastern Asian. Let's be honest. Anyway, one is a likable guy. I feel for a situation, but again, the consequences of his existence are literally he releases chaos and destruction into the world, and he does. And I guess my biggest issue is that he doesn't fix his actions. He can't. He kind of puts a band-aid on it. Like, he tries. There's a lot of effort. I don't know how much credit you want to give for effort, but his actions have the most dire consequences, and all he can do is sort of put a band-aid over top of it. And it was just because of, selfish decisions. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not warranted based on situation, but selfish in the way that he was thinking literally about himself.
All right, so I think I rightfully put, because all the great that Avatar One did, right? He created like although he inadvertently created a fail safe that there will always be someone to keep balance in the world. Granted, he did completely unleash that chaos.
There wouldn't have been a need if it hadn't been. I'm done.
But he was wrong to do it. Like, he had no information. But at that time, the spirits were fighting. Like, they were causing mass panic and hysteria, and they were about to like destroy things. And he did get tricked. But that's what the devil does, He is the Eve of the story. Like, he gets kind of tricked. Like, Vatu says, she's been tormenting me for 10,000 years. And then he gets like, what? And he firebends and separates them. But he does feel bad right afterwards. And Juan, before fusing with Rava, he isn't. And so I had him at number 4. And I think that was appropriate because that's right down the middle. Like, he did a lot of great. Even though he didn't really establish peace in his time, because he died on the battlefield, like telling Rava, which is one of my favorite moments in all of Avatar series, when he dies. He's like, Rava, we didn't do it. There's too much war for one lifetime. I think that's what he says. And then Rava dies, and she just says, we will be together for all your lifetimes. That's absolutely one of the best moments that I think that both series has. So he did inadvertently, really more so through Rava, build a fail-safe to always keep balance in the world. So I have him at number 4, I think, appropriately. Also, before he even fused with Rava, like, he was willing to do things that not ordinary humans can do. Like he got bending from the Fireline turtle. Then he went to the air one and said, "Hey, I need to be Vatu. Can I get more bending?" And he says, "No human has ever held more than two bending elements at once." And he says, "I can do it." Like, who has the nerve to try and hold more than two spirits at once when no one has ever attempted or tried this? Apparently, because I'm guessing you would die from it, but he was strong enough to do it before even fusing with Rava.
Oh, go ahead.
So I had a real tough time placing him there at number 4. Almost placed him at number almost placed him at number 5, but I went with 4 just because I thought it was just kind of a perfect spot to put him for all the good that he'd done. Even though there was still war going on, he didn't establish peace in his lifetime, but he did at least beat Vatu, and he risked his own life to do that. Like, he's legit about to die, and he doesn't know for sure that he can handle Bravo, the Light Spirit.
I have 2 comments. One kind of defending my ranking, the other kind of critiquing my ranking. The one defending my ranking is that I'm operating under the assumption that Vatu is essentially sort of the source of all evil. Like, if we make biblical comparisons, like that she's like the original, or he's like the original sin. So I'm kind of operating under the assumption that provided that Vatu stays occupied, evil remains out of the world. So there's no need for Avatar, and it is a constant peace, and then victory well done. And I'm operating under the assumption that there's not really other sources of evil. Now, we don't have any way to confirm that or whatever. It's how my mind perceives it when I watch the show. I would say the con to my rating is that during his time as the Avatar, so when you mentioned that he takes on these other forms of bending in a way, first of all, that nobody else has ever done, merges with Rava in a way that nobody else has done. Like, his time as the Avatar specifically was incredibly exciting and incredibly impactful, in a way that I probably should have given him more credit for. But I can't get over the consequences of his actions being more severe than any other human in history. So I stand by it. But ultimately, I think 5's a nice place. If it depends on. I'm interested to hear what the fans say.
So they had, this is a real close ranking. They agree with me.
Oh yeah, whatever.
that Juan was ranked number 4.
Nobody has the guts to stand up to Juan. I'll do
or
it.
Actually, he ties for number 3 actually, which I won't ruin who he tied with, but he tied with number 3, so he's like ranked 3 or 4. And no one really commented on Juan necessarily. One person wrote, "Juan, he stopped the 10,000 years of darkness rule, brought peace between spirits and humans." Yeah, he did that. He started the new world as all avatars before Korra knows it.
Silly fans. Whatever. It's fine. I will concede that he has a very cool story, and he is a very well-intentioned and cool avatar.
And even before he split up Rava from Vatu, like, the world wasn't balanced, I guess, because there was some clear, very classism going on, because Juan was poor, and that's the whole reason why he went to go get firebending, so still firebending, so he can get back, or actually not really get back, it's not like a revenge thing, but he wanted to make things more fair and take like food that these like rich people were hoarding. So there was still unbalance in the world, even before Vatu was freed.
So we give him, I think it's fair to say, if you're ranking that high, you're giving him some credit for sort of intentions or attempts to rectify his mistakes. But we don't give Roku the same kind of stuff when he was, attempting to be merciful, break stereotypes as a firebender, by not being just a merciless killer. And so, but we did seem to give that same sort of appreciation for trying to rectify mistakes even in the next life to Roku. Is it just because it's, I don't know. I think it's just because it's not as interesting a story, but that's just me.
I mean, Roku's inaction, I think, led to his indecisiveness, as he says, led to specifically the 100-Year War. So,
Whatever. I guess Batu just goes free. Batu just goes free in the world of the fans.
Also, Batu might have gone free anyway. Like he might have won Harmonic Convergence Showdown if it wasn't for Juan.
Maybe
but now I'm dealing
Juan had done some
hypotheticals.
Whatever, it's fine. Thank you, fans, for contributing, I guess. All right, yeah, that's fine. He's a cool avatar, I'll give him that.
All right, and at our number 4 is, I'm going to definitively say that this avatar is the most BA of all the avatars that we've seen. And it's none other than Avatar Kyoshi. Now, Kyoshi, so I had a really hard time between putting Kyoshi here or so I had Kyoshi ranked at number 5. Had it ranked below Juan, and I kept going back and forth between those two because Kyoshi also did a lot of good, but some of her actions led to bad. So
sure,
good that she did was
actions leading to bad stuff comes into play. Can I hold that against you forever?
Well, Juan did stop Batu. Like her things had kind of played a part even 300 years later. She does get points for living for some reason 230 years old.
Awesome.
I don't. Yeah. I feel like that's some type of error that happened, and they're like, you know what? Screw it. We're not going to fix that. She's a BA. She lived to 230. So she good thing she done is that she did create the Kyoshi Warriors. Although they don't really have that huge of an impact, I think, on the world itself. But they did help keep Kyoshi Island safe from jerk guys. But she also created the Dai Li, which was the most elite, corrupt fighting force in all of the Earth Nation. And she did stop Qin the Conqueror. The thing, though, about her stopping Qin the Conqueror is that she waited until Qin got to her. So I don't know what she waited for, but I don't know, maybe destiny or whatever. Maybe she knew it would come down there. But regardless, she did wait for Qin to conquer probably at least, if I look at that, back to the episode on how all like Qin's conquering overshadowed the Earth Kingdom, at least half of the Earth Kingdom before getting to Kyoshi Peninsula that eventually became an island.
So
that's why I had her ranked at number 4.
I put her.
Oh wait, no, I had her ranked number 5. Sorry.
Oh, and you had Juan at 4. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I had her ranked at number 3, and I'm a huge fan of Kyoshi. I don't think so. First of all, like I just said, we can't. I feel like we're holding people's consequences at different weights. I don't think the Dai Li. I don't think we have any reason to suspect that the Dai Li was bad in her lifetime. Maybe not even the next lifetime or anything. I think that they were bad in the 200 years of her lifetime or whatever.
Very valid point.
She probably would have put a stop to it, but you still have to weigh. And it says it in that short. Our actions have consequences. It may be much later or whatever. That's still important. That, yeah, they turn corrupt or what have you. And then her strategy with what was his name? Qin the Conqueror.
Qin.
Was a little strange. But then I think it's important to remember that these people still just kind of have fairly human intellect. Like it could have been a strategy of war or whatever. So they're not forgiving it, but I'm certainly not going to count it too heavily against her. Again, because I don't believe that the consequences of her inaction or her delays or like the creation of the Dai Li, I don't know that the bad consequences are as bad as the other ones that I've ranked previously. Whereas the good that she did, we're talking multiple hundreds of years, extremely powerful. I maintain there could have been, the Dai Li could have done some good at one point. We don't really know. You can't give her too much credit, but very powerful, very useful mentor to Aang. Very very, I believe it states in some of the lore that she is willing to do pretty much whatever it takes, much like another avatar.
Yes, yeah,
Like
she stated that.
she is not afraid to kill somebody to keep some peace. And so I guess that hits me as
No.
she has a good understanding of the balance of
Mm-hmm.
tethered to people and to humanity and to love and mercy, but also to her role. She has a job to do, and she's the first one, at least on this list, that we've really seen that from. That I'm willing to do what it takes. I guess other than Juan, you could say Juan did that. That's fair. So I really like Kyoshi.
No, that's a Kyoshi is one of my favorites. She's probably my which is my fourth favorite.
Easy to not favorite. Yeah, right. She could be more favorite than that for you, but in terms of the best or whatever. So 3-4. That's a good place for her. She's a deserving.
I mean, I think she could approach things. She could approach things, in a very peaceful way, like she did with the peasant uprising. But she also can approach things with no, I'm just gonna kill you. Like one of my favorite scenes. There's a lot of favorite scenes in Avatar is when Aang is being judged, and they put Aang in Kyoshi's old clothes and boots and everything, and it's just so too big for him.
Yeah.
Also, Avatar Kyoshi is one of the tallest avatars there is. I believe
this
she's
is the biggest.
known as the tallest
I think it says
avatar.
on the wiki that she's straight up the biggest one.
Yeah, she's at least sits. Like she looks freaking. She's tall.
She's Debbie
but like
NBA tall
once,
for sure.
Yeah, but once they condemn Aang to being guilty, like all the wind comes in gusts, and her eyes just like light up, and the first thing that she ever says is, "I killed Chen the Conqueror." And I was like, "Whoa, you just an Avatar, and you just completely admitted to killing this person?
She
like
don't care
you
either.
win for the most BA Avatar." Love that moment.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I like 3 or 4 for her, roughly, whichever, just because obviously she's in the upper echelon and she's very good, but there's also some obvious faults. So I think that's a good spot.
That's fine. I mean, it's a good conversation because now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I should have ranked her a little higher, only a little bit.
I would like to know
I
would like to know what the Dai Li did during her lifetime, because there was a point in time where that could have been a positive. Maybe it could have worked out at least temporarily.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about corruption before. That's something that happens gradually over time. You know, it's like the fire sages in the fire temple. Like that's not an overnight thing. Like that's a gradual. Like, hey, he's not coming back, so you worship me now as the Fire Lord. So,
Yeah.
Anyways,
the fan club did have Kyoshi tied with Avatar Wan, so that's appropriate. Like it was a legit tie of the average ranking was 3.2 for each.
Oh, nice.
So
consistency, I like that.
Yeah. Coming in at number 3 is probably very controversial, but I hear controversial sales. So number 3 is everyone's favorite Avatar is Avatar Aang. And for me, yeah, look at those eyes. How do we not?
How do you say
put him higher?
Avatar that look like that?
So Aang is great, you know, and right now we're in the top 3. So Aang, I think, is a great Avatar, but there's a couple of reasons why I couldn't put him higher than some of the other ones. One, he really only did like 3 things. He really only had 3 things. He beat the Fire Nation, and that encompasses defending the Northern Water Tribe, and also kind of led into creating Founding Republic City. So kind of maybe put that in 1, or you can put Founding Republic City as a separate thing, but whatever. But I feel like that wasn't as hard to do as like that's just founding something. That's not as hard to do as defeating the Fire Lord. So that was the biggest thing he has on his checklist is he beat the Fire Lord, ended the 100-Year War. Also, he stopped this one mobster, Yangchen. Like he stopped one guy who, well, he's just a mobster, but he stopped his hold on Republic City. Also, my critique against Aang is that he did run away from responsibility. I get he was 12, but really he ran away from home just because they said he couldn't be a kid again. I don't think it was even the responsibility of being the Avatar. It was that, hey, we're going to move you from Monkey Yatso. Like I think that was the biggest reason why he left, because if that wasn't the case, he would have left when they told him, not left once he immediately found out that they were going to move him from Monkey Gyatso.
I definitely agree with
So
that.
that's why I had to put Aang. I put Aang at number 3 on my list, and that's why I ranked him relatively lower than other avatars.
I put him at number 4, and I think the biggest. So we just kind of had a flip flop with Kyoshi, me versus the general overall consensus, and just the overall reason being that I think that he, gosh, what's the easiest way to put it? I just think Kyoshi did more and over a longer period of just time and sustained more in a better way than Aang did. I really don't give much credit for. I don't necessarily know or believe that Republic City is a good thing. I think that's one of those things that 2 or 3 avatars from now they might be like, that was stupid. Why did we try to do that? Because Republic City is not a perfect place. So, but the same way that I don't give much credit to like founding Kyoshi Island. Like it's cool, but it's not like a peacekeeping accomplishment necessarily, whatever. So really, I think it comes down to he defeated Fire Lord Sozin and entered a 100-year war, but that he had a pretty big role in allowing to get that far in the first place. At least a good size role. And again, it may not be for the reasons that some people want to believe. I'm with you. I think it's more about being taken away from Monkey Gyatso than anything else. But at the same time, like he still had a big hand in it. Whereas, so kind of his fault. Whereas, like I said, Kyoshi just seems like she did more over a longer period of time with fewer, maybe sort of extremely powerful negative consequences or what have you. But there again, it's close. We're picking nits here between good, successful, well-liked avatars.
Yeah, I'll give him a little more credit on creating Republic City because that completely flies in the face of how they previously handled things. Like it was always like some separate but equal doctrine, which is weird to me. Even when I heard it, I was like, oh no, the 4 nations live in peace, but they live separately in peace.
There's some negative history to go along with that. Yeah.
And so he actually had some conflict with Roku in the comic book about like Roku's like, no, the 4 nations, like they live separate, like that's how they keep peace. And Aang was like, well, I think that worked for your time, but maybe that doesn't work for my time. Maybe my time needs this type of coming together city to get us through 100 years that you freaking started, Roku, this 100-year war. It's your own darn fault. Don't tell me how to run stuff. He didn't say it like that, but
a little more respect.
Essentially, he did because in that time he had like this emblem that represented his fire bending linkage. It was an emblem of the Fire Nation, and that represented his connection to Roku, and he burnt it. And then at that point, because he lost connection to Roku, it's like a chain link. He lost connection to all the other previous avatars until he rebuilt that connection again. So people complain about another avatar breaking their linkage to past avatars, but Aang purposely did it.
I like where you're going with that. Yeah. The important thing to remember here, like I said, is we're picking nits between good avatars. Everybody's high on both of them. Both have notable, tangible, positive things to them.
Yeah. The other thing that I have against Aang, even though I somewhat love it, because when it comes to defeating Fire Lord Sozin, like everyone's telling him, you gotta kill him. Even though his past lives, you gotta kill him. But sometimes I like it when the main character is morally right, even though everyone's telling something different, and it's proven that he was still right. It's proven in that show that he was right for what he did. Now, my drawback to that is that Aang couldn't sacrifice his belief, even though he's an avatar, in order to keep balance in the world. Like Avatar Yangchen told him that, selfless duty requires you to sacrifice your own spiritual needs. The world comes first. Like you can't be like that. But I think he's a little selfish in that aspect. Like his airbending tactics of handling situations, handling problems is, I'm just gonna hinder them. I'm gonna take their bending away. He took Fire Lord Sozin's bending away. Fire Lord Sozin went to jail, but he was still operating this this club called like the New Sozin Club that was trying to get Zuko overthrown. He took Yakon's bending away, but Yakon freed himself, got plastic surgery, and moved to the Southern Water Tribe. And Yakon ended up raising 2 kids who would go on to be a pester for the next Avatar. Like his actions or his inactions of things still, his selfishness in a way isn't the best way to acquire peace.
I don't know what the right word with it is. You call it selfishness. I've been thinking of it sort of his earthly tether, like he's thinking more about earth morals than the greater good based on his job or what have you. And so I put a little bit of negative weight on that as well. But brownie points for taking away people's bending. Like, what a great solution.
He did find out energy bending. And there is like a certain thing to be said about the Avatar spirit and how Aang has to be spiritually in line with himself in order to be a good Avatar. So maybe he couldn't do all those things, but that's a what if to me. You gotta try to kill somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta try to know you don't like it. I'm kidding.
Even Batman wouldn't kill nobody, but he wouldn't always save people. You know, it happens.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he's killed people before, but not often.
Aang
should approach killing the way Batman does.
That's right.
I mean, Batman has like killed people before, but it's more like like you said, it's more like
burners of his vehicle.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, well, I hate that. I mean, I don't hate that version, but I hate that happened. But sometimes he knows, like, all right, Ra's al Ghul, yeah, I'm not gonna kill you, but I don't have to save you either. Aang would have saved him.
Aang would have saved him because you're still basically killing him. Let's be honest. But I don't know that that's always the right thing to do. Props to him for sticking to his moral code. But we're rating based on a job here. We're rating based on a job, and he still found ways to mostly get the job done. So good for him.
Yeah,
good spot for him. Number 3.
The fans had Aang ranked surprisingly at number 2. I'm surprised by that, honestly.
A little surprising, yeah. But I like what we did.
All right, and there's one.
I like what we did better.
There's one comment from Armando, which I think this is not even in the. No, this is in the same club. Okay, Armando says, and this is a long thing. Technically speaking, as if it's.
We're about to get an essay here.
Technically speaking, Aang is the best Avatar. Listen to my reasoning before you jump to conclusions. When Aang was in conflict with taking the Fire Lord.
Classic Facebook post. No, I'm just messing with it. Armando, if you, by whatever chance, see this, thank you very much for contributing.
Yes, thank you for your comment. Enjoy the audience interaction. When Aang was in conflict with taking the Fire Lord's life, he asked all the previous Avatars for their opinion, and all of them told him to kill him. Aang did not want to do what went against. He went against this, and eventually met the Lion Turtle, which no Avatar has ever been in contact with this besides Avatar 1. He was then given knowledge by the Lion Turtle of energy bending, learning how to take away bending. This bending could have ended many wars before they started. Like, for instance, the incident with Sozin, Amon, Unalaq, Zahir, and Kuvira. You all like to bring up Korra's villains as if they are big and bad, but Aang really would have stopped their terror before they started by just taking their bending. The fact that the Lion Turtle felt the need to give Aang this knowledge shows that he was indeed one worthy of their knowledge, unlike Avatars before or after him.
Very
eloquent.
And sorry, go ahead.
And he financial follow power. Someone just commented on that. I was about to read something else, but pretty much someone rebuted that by saying, "I disagree that the use of energy bending would have stopped." Beatrix said, "I disagree that the use of energy bending would have stopped a lot of the serious conflicts. It wasn't because of Sozin's own bending that caused the war, but rather the political power he had to wield in his position. I don't know that he himself ever even fought in the war. Likewise, people didn't even know Amon was a bender until the end. Unalaq was a threat because of his extreme beliefs in political power, as was Kuvira. Arguably, the Red Lotus are the only ones that maybe could have been stopped." But anyway, so she goes on to refute that.
Both are very eloquently worded. I
Yeah.
would say that the issue here is that these all avatars are still tethered by their regular physical forms. Like, even if you did know that Amon was a bender right away, or even if you could have stopped Sozin ahead of time, like, he still has to have this tremendous battle with Sozin. You still have to get to the bad
Yes.
guy wherever that bad, like, just because you can do it doesn't mean it like can happen immediately. So it's I do appreciate the note about the
Also,
about him meeting the lion turtle, though. That is very cool, and I forgot about that. And sort of
yeah.
shows
Also, I
a
think,
set of worthiness, I guess.
yeah. Also, I think because Lantero does say a lot that his say. I think his last thing he says. I think says a lot about Aang. Um, but also, I think energy bending by the Avatar state is a last ditch effort. I find it to be dangerous and there's a lot of risk involved. I mean, just by this gift, like Aang almost gets eaten by all the darkness. Like I don't think you do that unless you absolutely have to.
Not to mention what happens if you get into a world where somebody's like, all right, can you get
Oh,
rid of this guy's bending powers? Because he's kind of being a nuisance of a crime lord in our city. Like, all right, where do you draw the line there? It gets kind of messy. So,
yeah. And also the Lantero says like your own energy must be uncorruptible. What if you meet someone else who's uncorruptible? Like, are you just gonna not be able to stop him, or are you maybe gonna fuse together or something because you're both uncorruptible? Do both your bending gets taken away? The Avatar's bending gets taken away. Can it come back? I don't know. I mean, it can come back. We actually learned that, but
yeah,
in a way,
it is a big can of worms to open,
yeah.
but an important one.
Yeah,
Thanks for the
yeah,
comments. Those are both very eloquently worded.
yeah. All right, so on to number
All
two,
right, so this is where everything
which
comes together. Like,
is
after you know this one, you know everything. So this is big.
number two best Avatar, and therefore number one best Avatar. Dang. Anyway, number two best Avatar is Avatar Korra, which you can process elimination. The number one, which we'll get to, is Avatar Yangchen. But Avatar Korra, um, I think she is very underestimated and underappreciated. To be honest with you, she she had to deal with four huge threats that are, I think, all just as big threats as the Fire Lord. And so she had to defeat Amon. Amon, I think, is one of the strongest benders there is. I mean, he legit cannot be beat by anyone other than the Avatar or maybe someone else who knows blood bending like he does. Like maybe if Katara was in her prime and it was a full moon, and maybe then Katara could beat her, but no other bender really besides the Avatar could beat Amon. But she did anyway. She successfully defeated Unavatu, and without the help of Rava, like she reaches into her own spiritual self, and she technically energy bends a different way to bend her own spiritual projection to beat the whole freaking darkness spirit of chaos by herself. No avatar spirit. And then she opened up the spirit portals, kind of wrongfully so, but that ended up leading to the reemergence of the air nomads, to the new airbenders, which that has been a dream of the previous avatars for so long. Then she helped protect them. She was willing to give herself up to Zahir to protect them. She was willing to sacrifice herself for that. And then also she defeated Kuvir's expansion of the Earth Kingdom by mercifully saving her. So without doubt, to me, I'm completely good with Korra being number two.
I'm almost ashamed of myself. I had Korra at number one, and I never thought I would say that. Not as a likable person, not as a likable
Yeah, see?
person, not as a political figure, not as a leadership figure of any type or whatever, but as an avatar, she overcame greater challenges. I think by far, I think notably greater challenges she overcame. So maybe there again, her actions might have had some negative consequences or whatever, and we've talked about that before. But just the number of tremendous entire universe threatening things, like not 100-year wars where, okay, yeah, I know there would have been genocide, it would have been terrible or whatever, but we're talking that's human stuff, that's people fighting people or whatever. She prevented just universe disrupting, destroying type things. It seems like multiple times, and then on top of that, in terms of sort of worldly conflict, on at least two different occasions where she prevented a worldly conflict at least close to the level of like 100-year war, just as a relativity example. So overcame so much that even my disdain for her, I am surprised that she is. I'm surprised that she's not number one, because I'm surprised that you did not also put her at number one just based on how much she did.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You have her at number one, because I didn't know your listing, which I'm glad I did it this way, because I just took your blank ranking. I didn't even look at them. I just averaged it out. Yeah, Korra, she dealt with a lot. I mean, she dealt with the expectations that Aang had. Also, she dealt with the new time. Like, avatars nowadays, and it's weird because before Korra, during Aang's time before, avatars were like worshipped. Like, everyone respected the avatar. Like, the avatar was needed. Everyone came to the avatar with their problems. And then Korra gets there. She gets to a world that thinks they don't need the avatar anymore. Like, that's her thing. She wants to be the avatar. And then she sacrifices everything really for the air nomads. Like, she gets poisoned. She legit gets paralyzed for like 3 years, just out of commission, and she has to deal with PTSD, but still try and be Kuvira. And also, she had to reach into herself, like by herself. No Rava, no Avatar spirit, no bending, just her inner energy beat the spirit of darkness and chaos.
Again, this is not a testament on which show I prefer or which avatar I prefer or what have you or anything. But yeah, so just to clarify, you did have her ranked number 2. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had her ranked at number 2.
Yeah.
Some of her drawbacks is that she did open up the spirit world. The 2 spirit portals. Like, because if she didn't do that, then Vaatu would have stayed in the Tree of Time. But to me, I give her a pass on that because, and maybe I shouldn't give her a pass on that, because Unalaq was going to kill Jinora. Like, if she didn't open that, maybe you could think, oh, well, just like Aang, maybe you should have killed people. Korra, maybe you should have let Jinora die. Like, there wouldn't have been that chance of Vaatu getting free if you just let Jinora die. But then I go back to the whole Aang thing where I says, like, maybe there's the whole thing of you got to be spiritually balanced yourself. And how would Korra even deal with knowing that she let Jinora die? Like, would she be balanced? I don't think so.
Also, I probably give too much of a pass for that, but I would say that at the time, it felt like because it is Jinora, and Jinora is so special and unique, without offering too many spoilers, which I think we've already spoiled enough. But I think it's slightly different just based on Jinora's unique skill set, let's call it. That it's not like an ordinary civilian. There was some sentiment there. I'm not trying to say if it would have been somebody else, but my point is that I think that's a little bit of a special circumstance because of who Jinora is. I think that's why I gave that a little bit of a pass and didn't put too much stock into it.
Other than that, I think that she didn't really do anything wrong. Like, when it came to Amon, one thing, Amon is a threat that's not her fault at all. That's actually things from Aang's past that he didn't 100% resolve. And then when it came to Unalaq, she did play into his hands a little bit, like we talked about. But she was willing to, once she figured out what was the case, she was going to go back, close the spirit portals, and keep Vaatu from ever coming.
Here's a bad
a lot of people
is what avatar wouldn't have done what she did?
Kuruk. No, I'm kidding.
He'd have been surfing somewhere.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
A lot of people do blame her for the avatar cycle being broken, but it's not like she actively decided to break that. Like Unavatu ripped it from her when he ripped Ravo straight out of her. Like she had no choice in that matter. And also she had nothing to do with Zahir. I mean, you could say Zahir got bending because she left the spirit portals open, which gave everyone air bending. So if you want to give her credit for creating a new way for airbenders to reemerge, gotta give her the discredit for having Zahir get bending. But yeah, whatever. That's one person.
She has flaws, but the accomplishments far outweigh.
And then Kuvira definitely isn't her fault at all. Like she sacrificed her whole body to stop Zahir. Like the world had to step up. If anything, Kuvira is other people's fault who put Kuvira in power, while Korra was mending.
Kind of the Sozin effect there, even. Like it's not. It really wasn't Aang's fault or even Roku's fault necessarily that Sozin and I mean that the 100-Year War started. Like that's more of a political issue. But
so I'm gonna get to some to where the fans had it ranked, and surprisingly so, they had it ranked number 1.
Good. Way to go, fans.
Oh, not.
Chris, you can have it in 1. I'm taking Korra at number 1.
One Beatrice again said, where am I at here? Okay. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with me ranking Korra over Aang, but remember, Aang saved the world from 100 years of war. Korra saved it from 10,000 years of darkness. Plus, oh, never mind. That's pretty much it.
And then, right there.
So on the flip side of that is, which I find funny, is Blake. Blake says, and I'm sorry if I say this in a rude way, Korra obviously gets worse. he doesn't even bother ranking them. He just went on his way to say Korra gets worse.
Can we say Korra? That Korra is probably... I'm surprised that fans have her ranked that high because she's probably the most divisive.
She's definitely the most divisive. So, yeah, Korra obviously gets worse. She constantly lost, and the people constantly suffered because of her failures.
Ouch, bro.
All 4 seasons ended with a massive failure on her part, leaving us sad.
Ouch.
Plus, let's not forget that she destroyed the Avatar cycle, essentially killing Aang and all the old avatars out of what is basically a tantrum towards her father.
Really?
And then Marco just said, couldn't agree more, fam.
You know what? Hey, one person, it's an opinion, but two's a crowd. You had some support there. Yeah, again, not that I don't find her disappointing and frustrating and stuff, but we're looking at a body of work here. And if Kyoshi gets credit just for sticking around forever, then Korra definitely gets some credit for having super duper high impact while she was there. She kept a pretty busy life.
On to number one, definitive best Avatar of all time. It's probably the one least about, but she's done probably the most. I mean, not done the most, but she's done the best job. Is Avatar Yangchen. Now, Avatar Yangchen, I have it ranked at number 1, because she does her job. Like, she maintained such peace and balance in the world that the next Avatar grew really lazy. He had nothing to do.
Or did he just think he had nothing to do, and that's whatever. Go. I'm sorry to interrupt.
And she, even though she was an air nomad, she was not reluctant to kill. Like, even though it's known that she's not reluctant to kill. That's what led people to not only admire and respect her, but also kind of fear her. Even though we don't see any instances of her killing, we know that she was fine with killing people. Like, she did not let the airbending philosophy keep her from doing absolutely what was necessary. And to me, that is a huge sacrifice. Not only sacrifice your own self beliefs for what you know is right in the world, as she says, but to in order to cherish life so much that you're willing to take the few that puts it in danger. That I think that puts her into a point where she is probably the wisest avatar, and like I said, I think she's the best avatar. She also defeated an old spirit, not by sheer force, but by coming to an agreement, truly being the bridge between worlds, establishing a holiday that the spirit would agree to while keeping this place sacred. So Avatar Yangchen gets number one because she essentially did nothing bad that we know of, and she established such great peace that it lasted really even her lifetime, in the next lifetime, except at the very end where that Avatar screwed up.
It happens. It happens. I had her ranked number 2, and I think you said it best. You said she is the wisest, and she is probably the best embodiment of like what a good avatar is supposed to be, right? Like this is the amount of respect that you're supposed to have for life, dedication to the job, dedication to the game. She really did. I believe she's the wisest. I think that shows through in that short that she is the most helpful to Aang by miles and miles and miles. I would say the only reason I have 2 reasons that I ranked her lower than Korra, and the first is that it's not a greatly impressive resume. There is some extra metaphysical things on there, which is exciting to me. Like when you go beyond physical things and you're essentially in war with an old spirit. Like you mentioned, there being a true bridge. That's something that a lot of the avatars we've talked about really don't do a ton of, and she does. So that's pretty cool. But I take a little issue with maybe a smaller resume, and then the lack of blemishes. I always believe in. And like we're our own harshest critics, whether it's here on a podcast or we're playing basketball or whatever, because we're the closest to us, and we're the closest to ourselves. We know ourselves better than anyone. So I just look at that and I'm like, we would be more critical of her if we knew more about her. We don't have anything bad to say because there's nothing there to work with. We know so little about her, and so it's I know I'm kind of manufacturing something bad there, but it's like I know we're only most critical of Korra and Aang because they're so close at hand, and so I'm sure if we
or on the flip side, on the flip side, like you said, we are worst critics. And I think the same go for avatars. Like they don't hold anything back about their own shortcomings. Like Roku says, I should have been more decisive. Kyoshi, and that Journey from Spirit World says like our actions, even though we don't know it, has ramifications and consequences for later lifetimes. Kuruk, of course, is a dummy. He doesn't say. He doesn't say. His inaction speaks for themselves.
Yeah,
pretty much. I'm still looking for her. But Yangchen doesn't say anything bad about her. She's like, listen, I didn't let that airbender. Like, I didn't let that airbender teachings keep me from doing my job. You need to do the same.
So it was not
self-sacrifice.
It was not arrogant. She didn't boast. She's not like, I straight up killed people even though I was an airbender. It was not arrogant, but also boastful. But it was also not critical. So maybe there's something to that.
Yeah. And also, we don't know if she killed. I'm assuming she's at least threatened heavily someone that she would kill them. Because she's made such peace that people are like, nah, we're not messing with Avatar Yangchen. All right, she just blew a whole freaking forest just to prove a point.
I think it implied that she was not afraid of killing somebody. I don't know.
I think so.
No example, but I think it implied that she is not. So, long story short, there again, it's one of those where, you could say it on the flip side of Korra too. Like I see her accomplishments the most because she's the closest to us, but. It's like, all right, if we had more information on Yangchen, I think we'd be less forgiving. But in the grand scheme of things, we're all in agreement, essentially, on the top 2 avatars, and I think that's pretty cool. The fact that us and kind of the general public, everybody, we all looking at the same thing in our avatars.
Well, the general public had Avatar Yangchen only ranked at number 5. I think that's mostly because of lack of information. Like one person says,
number 2 by the general public. Aang?
Aang. Yes,
Aang
Aang
was
was.
okay. I'm sorry, I forgot. Oh well, come on,
Yeah,
General
I'll
Kelly,
rerun it
come on back
down
here.
in a minute. Uh, one person. Which one am I on? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I don't want this one. I was on a different group. One person wrote, a bit tricky to rank some of the older ones that we have very limited knowledge about. I think there's Brachus since Koruk probably accomplished the least. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to harp on Koruk again.
I did.
Let's see. Oh, no, I think it was the other one I wanted to read. This other person from this other fan group. Sorry, I cheat on fan groups.
That's where our feedback
Said
comes from.
one person said he ranked Yangchen as the worst, but he did put the last. He ranked Koruk and Yangchen as worst, and his name's Trina. He says the last two I barely know anything about, honestly. And then I reply, pretty much all a person needs to know is that Yangchen established such great peace that her successor Kuruk was lazy. Then he writes, so I basically should have put Yangchen before Kuruk. I disagree with that.
I will.
And one person,
Man, the only issue
go
I
ahead.
have with that is that like the person that we hear saying that about there being so much peace that I didn't have anything to do, like that's all from Kuruk himself. Like there's still stuff you can always do better. Get out there, you clown.
Jamil says, I would say Avatar Yangchen did her duty the best. She is the wisest and did her duty peacefully without violence. I'm pretty sure there's other violence. Goes on to say, compared to other avatars who's just all about violence. I think I think most of them actually aren't about violence. Like Roku didn't want to kill. He didn't want to kill his friend. Aang, Kyoshi was definitely violent. Kyoshi was.
And then Kuruk can imply that Kuruk was violent. Other than that, I don't know that there was a.
Yeah, I can.
I don't know that there was a.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pretty much Roku and Aang weren't. I don't consider them all that violent. Even though Roku does give a very harsh threat to Fire Lord Sozin, saying that he will come to his permanent demise. It's a great line. And I'm pretty sure Korra was probably fine with killing.
I think Korra would have killed somebody for sure.
I think Korra would have been, even though I love the end of the season 4 where she saves Kuvira from the spirit beam. Like that shows. When people say Korra doesn't have character growth, I say, would Korra episode 1 season 1 stop and sacrifice? She doesn't know what's happening.
Should have helped kill her.
Yeah, exactly. But instead, she saved her enemy from the enemy's own blast. Like that's a Aang thing to do. Like that was, like we brought up before, that was bad. Like when you killed yourself, I didn't. Especially in this case, Kuvira's own trying to blast her with a spirit gun. Inadvertently, was going to blast herself, but Korra saved her. Like that is some clear growth there. So I think a lot of the avatars are more peaceful than probably than this person gives it credit for. But I don't think Yangchen was one of them.
I
think Yangchen.
I think it would be funny if like the unnamed Firebender avatar was just like, we don't talk about him because he's super violent. Like he just all criminals, kill him. It's utopia here. Just get rid of him.
I'm gonna lava band right on them.
Let's invent a lore for the nameless Firebender and let's just go off the walls with it. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Okay, I'm gonna name him Rose-Eye.
Gotta have. Oh, I like that. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Rose-Eye.
Well, Fire Nation names usually have an R or a Z or a K in them. Yeah.
Rozukin?
Because there's Zuko. Yeah, Rozukin. I like it. Rozukin has all of it in there.
And he
got the R's, the Z's, and the K's.
He killed just for giggles, man. He was harsh.
Gosh, I don't know about. I don't think an Avatar would kill just for giggles. I don't know what type of fan fiction you're writing over there.
It's getting pretty dark. Maybe he just had a very a more strict code. Like he went too far the other direction. Like he's like, all right, don't commit crimes or I'll kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He takes it too far. That's what Rozukin does. We're gonna build a
I
whole
love it.
lore.
He'll forever be Rozukin.
He's gonna be Rozukin.
Uh,
We're gonna build a whole lore around Rozukin.
yeah. So that is Avatar Yangchen is our number one ranked avatar, and she was personally my number one ranked avatar. She was your number two, correct?
Number two, certainly close. I'd
Yeah.
flip flop one or two for me, and I'd have been fine. You know.
And you had Korra ranked number one, and the fans had Korra ranked number one. But definitively, Yangchen is number one. I'm right. We're both right because both our scores come together. So Yangchen.
Hold on. If I have Korra ranked number one, and the fans have Korra ranked number one, but the objective geek has Korra ranked not number one, and somehow Korra ends up not number one, I want to see some science.
I can easily show you the science behind it. I didn't factor in the fans into ours, into the ranking.
We didn't count the fans' opinions because they're the non-benders.
I thought about
podcast,
it, but I was like, no, this is me and yours definitive forever. The world ranking of avatars.
It's such a narrow group of fans, even that would be exposed to this or see it. Like, is that a true representation of anything? So, no, it's better.
Also, Yangchen, I think Yangchen would have undeservedly been ranked lower because, and as we see here, she was ranked at number 5 with the fans because she doesn't have as much knowledge. I don't think people have really maybe looked too much into her.
Mostly you and I were close. The one maybe disruptor is, me ranking one so low through things. But if you maybe normalize that, everything's pretty close. We've got a couple things flip-flop.
I think so, yeah.
Both had the same. We're looking for the same stuff in our avatar. I think we could hire the next avatar. We would probably agree on a decision. We'd be good at hiring the next avatar. Rozukin, get up here.
It'll be an Earth Kingdom person. So I forget how Earth Kingdom names technically go. I think they have there's Kyoshi, Toph, Haru.
The Earth Kingdom is so big, though. It's probably the most diverse.
Yeah, it probably is. Boomy.
So, let's pick a section. Let's go from Omashu. So, right, we got the avatar from Omashu, and it's Cabbage Guy's great grandson. Actually, is what it is. Cabbage Guy's great grandson is going to be the next avatar.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what Cabbage Guy's name is.
So that'll be interesting. He'll be like a Bruce Wayne because he'll be rich. Right?
Oh, because of the cabbage sales.
Yeah.
Oh, we got so much.
So how does he deal with?
Why are we making a stupid podcast? We should be writing novels.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we got to come up with a name for Cabbage Guys.
Oh, and you know what? He probably sells out at first. Like he's selling his. Like he's doing corporate commercials or mover shorts for Cabbage Corp.
Oh my god!
Like the avatar approves.
Oh, that's great.
And then eventually, so he goes from being this jerkish, much better than Avatar Kuruk, but all about himself kind of person, to by the end being a fully grown, fully developed, matured, character developed avatar.
He
He
is Bruce Wayne,
in fact,
but maybe with more character growth than Bruce Wayne, based on that 2-minute fan fiction you just offered.
And then again, Bruce Wayne doesn't really have. He grows differently than other people.
It is. It's a different trajectory. But we'll come up with a name. I think it would be his great grandson. So assuming that he has a kid roughly when he's selling his own cabbages, and then a grandkid would be roughly Korra's time. So I think it'd be his great grandkid.
I think his name would have a B in it. I mean, there's Toph Beifong, Lin, Sue, Boomy, Bolin.
Cabbage.
Maybe there's a B and an L in there. Cabbage.
I can get on with a B and an L.
B and L.
I thought of Rozukin. It's your turn.
Yeah, okay.
Boomy. I think it has to start with the B, though, doesn't it? B and L, B. Do we want a girl?
Mm.
You know, I think our fake
Oh,
I
ooh,
think
yeah.
the firebender has to be a guy
You
because
know,
we've seen the firebender. So yeah, maybe this one's a girl.
I think it has to be a girl too. I mean, we've only had 3 out of 7, so to even it out on like every eighth would be a girl. So yeah, so I'll go with basil.
Basil, basil. I can get on
Basil
board with that.
is that a plant? Is that a
It's an
basil?
herb that you put on,
Yes,
Italian food.
herb. Yeah, right. That comes from earth. Basil.
Basil, perfect. Basil and
Boom.
rozukin.
I thought I do like
Coming up,
Rosukin better, but
the more I say rozukin, the more it sounds like a bad prescription drug for acne or something. Like, have you tried rozukin? And it's like a bad celebrity sponsorship. Whatever. I can't wait to write some fan fiction. Rozukin's going to be hyper violent, and Basil is going to be the most political and business like avatar of all time. She's
mm,
going to be very
yeah.
very leadership figurehead oriented. It's going to be great. Coming up next
Yeah.
on the Avatar podcast. So hey, like I said, we were pretty close overall. The fans had slightly different ideals than us, but you and I were looking for fairly similar things. That's pretty cool. Some good avatars, some bad avatars.
Yep, that's it. I
That's
guess.
it.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
If anyone is actually watching this, please comment below on what your rankings would be and how you are wrong, unless you agree with us.
We don't even care if you say bad things about us because we're just gonna be like wrong, but then we're very polite.
Yeah.
We're still gonna be like, thank you for commenting, even though you're wrong. No,
Yeah.
say whatever. We would love to hear some feedback, even if you hate Korra and Yangchen, we won't blame you. So, all right, thanks Chris Ford. Thanks people for contributing. Thanks Chris Ford for putting it together and coming up with the idea. It's brilliant. It's a lot of fun. Next week we'll probably go back to a normal episode.